Hi, I'm Tim Zacharias with Cougar USA and the host of Building Value. We are in Katy, Texas today at the No Label Brewery Tap House. Very nice setting here. And I'm joined by Tom Paynter and Garrett Hart with No Label and Hart Plumbing. Gentlemen, thank you for having me out here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to visit us.
So, very excited about today's episode. We're going to be tasting and talking about some of the beers from No Label Brewery, as well as talking about Hart Plumbing, history, and the family environment between the two companies. On Building Value, we go behind the scenes of building operations to showcase the people and products that make buildings work and the value they bring to the community. Garrett, can you tell me a little bit about where you grew up?
I grew up, born and raised in Sugar Land, Texas, my whole life. The only time I left there was when I went to Baylor. Lived in Waco for 4 years.
It's the green and gold there.
Yeah, I got to root for my team
Hey,
on.
I picked Baylor to win in my bracket. So
That's good. So
yeah.
I did undergrad at Baylor and I did my MBA at U of H. So I really have a conflicting thing going on Saturday. But
Yeah.
either way, I'll have somebody to root for in the big game.
Well, either way you win, so.
It's a pretty solid setup. So nice. Tom, what about you? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up a mile away from him.
Okay.
Sugar Land, Texas. He grew up on one side of the railroad tracks. I grew up on the other side. So
With the actual sugar mill right in between our houses.
Okay.
right,
Nice.
yeah. So, and we both went to the same. Our parents sent us to private school. My parents sent me to the only school that we could afford. Garrett's parents just sent him to the cheapest one. This is the way it was, and so we kind of just met in the middle.
Nice.
And been kind of friends ever since. And now it's I just turned 38. I'm like, good Lord, I'll get in fights with him about stuff that happened. He'll be like, that was 20 years ago, dude. Let it go.
Yeah, and 20 years ago means the year 2000, not 1980, which is
It's weird.
where my head goes,
Yeah.
right?
If you're born in the year 2000, you can buy alcohol now.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah, I saw a meme that was all these memes about 90s kids. That's for us would have been about 60s kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that really started to kind of hit home a little bit.
Weird.
It's like I didn't
Try not to think about it.
I know, right? So you guys grew up together, kind of maybe diverged a little bit after high school. How did you kind of reconnect and end up where we are here with No Label?
Well, so Garrett, when he got a bachelor's at Baylor, and then he got a master's in finance over at U of H. Myself, I just dropped out of college, started doing marketing, freelance on my own, started working with breweries around town, and then just self-freelance marketing, yada, yada, yada. Very I'm always going big picture, going crazy, and Garrett's always like, let's just rein this in a little bit where it'll make sense. And when he took over the construction company, the Hart Plumbing had always done terrific work, but Garrett also wanted more jobs, better modernize the company.
Sure.
And so I had done some of that with other companies that are similar, like trucking logistic company and stuff like that. So coming to Hart, but once I came into Hart, it was like, hey, but all these breweries, there's an opportunity. We were looking at all these breweries are just
Those when craft breweries were first getting going.
Yeah,
sure.
Because 10 years ago, there were No Label's the third oldest brewery in Houston, and that was 10 years ago. And now there's 65 breweries in Houston.
Yep,
that's
a crazy explosion.
Yeah, and so we wanted to kind of get into that. We tried to look into actually starting our own brewery, and then
we wanted to start one in Sugar Land.
Yeah,
and there still isn't one in Sugar Land.
Yeah,
yeah. And then there was we talked to the guys at Fort Bend Brewing at one point before they went under, trying to buy their equipment, and Garrett made him an offer. He was like, "I'll just buy your equipment." And he's like, "What? What about the brewery?" And Garrett's like, "Oh, the brewery isn't worth anything." And he was like, "Get out of my office." And Garrett's like, "I'm just telling you, that's it." But then so we knew the guys are here at No Label, and they're very community driven. And part of the whole thing is it had to make sense for Hart Plumbing, because Hart Plumbing, we do all this multifamily construction. we're building communities like from the ground up, but also we have customers that we have to adhere to. So that kind of needs to make sense. Like
Sure.
the brewery has to, because they can't think that we're like a bunch of party animals or yada yada yada. And so No Label, what it was it's family friendly, it's pet friendly, it's community driven.
Yep.
So there's an opportunity to invest, and we started as small investors, but then Garrett kind of kept on used his knowledge and Hart Plumbing resources to kind of help No Label, and then as we kept on doing that, we started as an investor, and then we kept on getting more equity, and then
One day I went to a board meeting and they elected me president, and then
Nice.
what was that? It's like,
Yeah.
damn it, now I'm president of 2 places. Double the stress.
So,
Yeah.
I was talking to you before about how basically in order to kind of make that work, Garrett essentially is outcasting me to No Label Island. It was like because
There are worse places to be stranded for sure.
yes.
Tom does work for the brewery and he does work for Hart Plumbing, but he kind of manages this place for me since Hart Plumbing's pretty busy right now. Takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But because we have that long ass friendship, brothers really. It's good trust, good communication, and everything is real easy. And it's like, what would Garrett say in this situation? Well, Garrett's gonna be 5 minutes late, and he's gonna tell you but so
Only 5 though, never 10.
I like being in this industry. It is the demanding and the kind of that 24/7 feel. But at the end of the day, there's tangible results, right? You can drive around town and be proud of kind of that stamp that you
I do
put
that
on
every time I drive
Yeah.
around with my family. I'm like, Daddy built those, Daddy built those, Daddy built these. And my kids are like, we don't care.
Yep. Exactly. So the same car ride, and I can feel the eye roll from the wife. Like, oh, this again, really.
And then-
My son's young enough right now where he's like, "Oh, Daddy, you have pumps in that building?" I'm like, "Yeah, buddy." But I'm sure in a couple of years he's gonna be like, "I know, Dad."
yeah. If you're driving around with Garrett and he sees a complex that he like, whether he didn't get it or he didn't know it existed. Oh. We may get off the freeway and be like, what the who like, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, Darren's gonna get an email or someone's gonna get like what the hell just
I
happened?
gotta pull over and see what GC it was, when it started.
Yep.
How do we miss this one?
I know the feeling. We kind of joke. It's like, well, if we lost the job, we just look at that as a future retrofit, right? Eventually that equipment's going to break. We'll get into the second bite.
Well, it's funny, like, we'll see, like, builders' names, like, 1 year, and be like, who the hell is, like, a couple years back, like, who the hell is Wood Partners? What's a Wood Partner now? One of our top customers, But, like, because there's all these builders, like, who are they from? Where do they, oh, they just opened their Houston office, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Definitely a hot market. Multifamily in Houston, I could see a lot of new people coming in, not just from California, right?
Yeah.
Kind of from all over.
There's a lot of Californians coming in.
Yeah, definitely.
Our head brewer came from California.
So, the great California migration is kind of paying off for us.
you go.
But Hart, we operate, of course, Dallas and Houston, and then we're looking to head out west. But it's crazy because consistently the top multifamily markets in America it's Dallas, Houston, Austin, like,
Yep.
and so with one company doing a bulk of the work, like we'll meet vendors across, and just kind of like say, you guys represent this chunk of like
Yep.
plumbing in America, and like that stuff's wild.
Yeah.
Like Morrison Supply, who operate globally, would be like, yeah, one of our number one like accounts. It's like, huh?
Nice.
So you're picking up dinner?
Yeah.
Got you lunch.
There
McDonald's.
you go.
Whataburger's on me.
That's awesome. So you mentioned your head brewer came over from California, and we've got a little kind of mini
Yes.
flight here
We need to get started.
of our of our beers, and I appreciate the some of the lighter selections here. I'm not as crazy.
They can be deceiving. This light selection here is 12.5%.
Okay. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm getting into.
No,
I
everything
love-
here is pretty light. Everything here is between 5 and 6 on the table. So.
Okay. So I love beer, but I don't know a lot about beer and the hops and all of this, and so I'm a bit of a rookie, but I love drinking and tasting beer, so I'm looking forward to getting into these. So
Well, all that's important is how it tastes to you.
Sure. So I think left to right here we've got the 1980.
Kolsch.
Yep.
El
El Jefe.
Jefe.
Jefe hitters,
Hitters,
and
yeah.
then Brew of H.
So
Brew of
when
H.
people come to the brewery and they're like, I've never been to a craft brewery. I only drink Miller Lite. We give them a 1980.
That's yep. That or I had Gillies earlier. That one was really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's actually the original Gillies recipe.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a solid can too.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
just got that new label in like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the guy lives in Pasadena near where the old Gillies bar used to be. We contract brew for him, and it's been a good relationship. We've been doing it since before Garrett and I were involved. So, and we just kind of rekindled the romance. So there should be more Gillies kind of coming everyone's way soon.
Nice.
Especially with the world opening back up and rodeos finally coming back on. It's the perfect time for it.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about the 1980 here?
The 1980, it's our number 2 selling beer. It is actually I should say that's number 3 now. Side has just took it over, but it's light, it's refreshing, it's a Kolsch.
It's delicious.
Our brewer, it's gone through probably 2 or 3 tweaks every time. We had a brewer before the brewer we had now. He tweaked it twice, and then Ryan Traylor came in. He's like, let's adjust the yeast on this. Let's change up some properties. And now the beer is better than ever. It's 5%. Knock it back.
That's a good, easy drinking beer.
Yep.
If I go fishing, that's usually what I bring with me.
It is my go-to.
Yeah, this is a great beer.
Yeah. When you're stuck around the brewery, and when you're doing things like this, it's like, I'm going to be here for a few hours. I needed a beer that I can consistently, I need to have a beer in my hand, but I don't need to have
that beer.
Yeah. That's hipster apocalypse.
Devil beer.
That would sneak up on you, 12.5%.
Our head brewer, he has a gift for making deceptively strong beers.
It doesn't taste. They don't taste strong.
They don't taste
but they're
strong.
8%, 10%.
That'll get you.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you just made Rufalin. You made Rufalin the drink. And
Branding on that one's gonna be a little tough.
Yeah. It's with the brewers back there, they're always coming up with just the most extreme raunchy, it's like, we'll call it this, and it's like, no.
Can't put that on a can.
Can't sell that.
We cannot market that. That cannot be on the HEB shelf.
It's like we're still family friendly. It's like, but what if we weren't? But we are.
No label after dark.
Yeah.
What if we only sell it at the brewery?
Yeah, there you go.
In the brew house,
Yeah.
with the lights off.
There's a speakeasy entrance around back that you have to to know about.
There's got to be some breweries around the country that have done something like that, where they have a different type of atmosphere or something where you sell high ABV beers, raunchy names, different,
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
This is a good beer. I like this one a lot. So is it, you mentioned HEB, or you can find No Label in distribution as well?
Oh,
This
yeah.
year?
All across the state of Texas.
HEB, Specs, Total Wine, Kroger,
Yeah.
a bunch of different places.
Any place where you can find beer.
Is it a different or more limited selection than what you have here in the tap room?
Well, we have like 30 beers on tap over there.
Yeah.
Right.
30 different
It's
kinds
quite
of
a
beer.
few over there, yeah.
So
We have at any given time. We have 4 cores that we make year round, and at any given place, people will have between 2 and 4.
Okay.
But then we also have quarterly seasonal releases, and then we'll have every 6 weeks we'll have a release on top of that. So basically we have
Wow.
at any given time there's kind of probably 2 random beers in the market.
Okay.
Right now you can find Don Jalapeno, which is a pale ale that we smoked with our partners at Blood Brothers that we're also invested in. They're local barbecue place, make delicious barbecue.
Yeah,
and
really good barbecue.
we smoke the peppers, we throw in the boil.
Oh, that sounds great.
Make this pale ale it has just enough heat. It's not real hot. And then also Cali Boy, our West Coast IPA, that was the signature beer by our new brewer. It's a West Coast IPA. 7.1%. It is entering the market right now too. So
Awesome.
it
is my new favorite beer.
It is
really good.
It's a good time to be us. It's a good time to be a consumer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, alcohol has not gone down. Alcohol consumption has not gone down as a result of COVID at all.
Yeah, thank goodness we do have distribution because we were shut down for months when COVID started.
Yep.
And this place on the weekend when the weather's nice, it's just there's 1,000 people here.
Yeah.
So losing that sales, it really hurt us last
Definitely.
year. But we're very happy to be open now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an outside environment, and
Yeah,
you
it
know,
is.
very
It's
open.
Very, very open and spread out.
Yeah, it's safe.
We got a lot of room here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely been out here on some weekends and hung out actually kind of right in here, right inside, and you know, great to have the kids run around and be able to hang out. And
I didn't know you've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we've got the next one here is El Jefe.
El Jefe
I like
is
this one.
It's the boss. It's our number one seller.
Yeah, it's a great beer.
It's the number one seller by a healthy margin.
Yep.
It keeps the lights on.
Yep. I've got a buddy that his name's Sean Dugan. Give him a little shout out. He drank Coors Light basically forever, and then got on El Jefe, and this is all he drinks now.
It is. It is a even solid 5%. Delicious Hefeweizen. When our head brewer came here, he's like, he wanted to tweak some recipes and stuff like that. And I was like, you can tweak whatever you want. But you stay your filthy California hands away from that that Hefeweizen.
There you go. Don't California my El Jefe. It's good.
And but it's it's our number one selling beer by a landslide. So and we just gave her a nice rebrand this past year. So
Got a new label refresh.
yeah, she needed it. Yeah.
So what is the origin of the name No Label?
I can tell you, it's so Brian and Jennifer Arroyo, the guys who founded it, they're U of H alums themselves. They basically one day he was a home brewer. He wanted to start up a brewery, and he was ripping the label off of a beer bottle, and he just kind of looked up and was like, we should just call it just No Label, because No Label, yada yada yada. And Brian told the story, and his wife was like, she's always like, tell that great story, and he's telling me this. It's like, yeah. And I went to the wind, and it was just like No Label Brewing. When Garrett and I kind of took over, a lot of in the creative, in terms of like our labels and in terms of kind of the atmosphere, was we have different artists that sign different labels. Mm-hmm. Like the beer styles are kind of all over the place, and the No Label for us is not being locked into a box, because when we took over, No Label had been going on 7 years, and you know the previous owners that had done a great job kind of creating the brand, but then in a very competitive market, it was getting very tired.
Back then you could have good liquid and be successful. Now you can have good liquid, but there's 57 other breweries that also put out pretty good beer. So you're gonna have something that really stands out on the shelf.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have constantly making new beers, constantly refreshing your labels, making everything look sexy again.
Yeah, well, it's true, and I love that, all the marketing and all the
that's an
cans.
especially good one there.
Yeah,
this is a very handsome man on that label.
I see the resemblance. Yeah, it's awesome. But the branding and the cans and everything on the craft beer, I mean, y'all's branding is great, but it is awesome to see all of that when you go to the store and see all that branding and everything. It's fun.
Yeah, and everyone's got their own kind of style,
Mm-hmm.
and I know for us, so was circling back. We were getting kind of locked in a box of No Label is XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
kind of basic beers and very generic in terms of everything, and so we just kind of our creative is through the roof at the moment, not to pat ourselves on the back too,
But you can see it when you walk around.
It's
you
Tom's
can see
department.
it.
So
Yeah.
really working on that raise.
we won a national marketing award last year, so that's pretty good. I was
What was it called?
we won the Echoes National Craft Beer Marketing Award. It was
Nice.
awesome because there's a brewery in New York that we go to whenever we're up there called The Other Half, and I love that place, and they were one of the winners and we were one of the winners. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Nice.
It's nice to it just makes it it's I'm doing something right
To be recognized by the industry, sure, that's awesome.
But still more work to do. But now it's our liquid has, legitimately, it's never tasted as good as it does now. Like Ryan, the first time he brewed, so during the pandemic, at one point, like I'm in Garrett's office, and we're talking because everything's going to hell. And
you just don't know what's going to happen. There was just so much uncertainty when everything first started.
Tap room's closed. We're operating drive-through. All the bars in Houston are closed, so we don't have any draft sales going on. There's a national can shortage, so we're about to run out of all our cans.
We ran out of aluminum.
It's
crazy.
Because every place, if they're closed, they're the same place we are. They have to use package, so there's a huge demand on aluminum. And then our former brewer, he was getting like super stressed out because of this situation, and also he was wanting to grow and to make a change, and so he put in his notice, and I was like, all right, Garrett, okay, so, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have no bars to distribute to. We have no cans. The tap room's closed, and we don't have a head brewer. I mean, these are...
It's the cartoon with the dog in the fire, right? It's like, this is fine. This is fine.
We actually have a beer called This Is Fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a boozy barley wine. It's our tribute to 2020.
That's perfect.
It has our operations manager on the can.
Yeah.
And he's the one sitting in that office going, yeah, this is fine.
That's perfect.
And but then we kind of ran the hard 6 a little bit. We put out our branding guy made this great suggestion where he was like, how about just run a national ad to get, it's like everyone's trying to get the hell out of wherever they are right now to come to Texas. Go on all the like the brew sites and run national job ads and see what you can get. I bet you can get some really great people. Texas is exploding. Katy is exploding.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, Ryan Traylor from San Diego, California. He's got tremendous amount of brewing experience. He was at South Park. He was at Carl Strauss, and he's won some GABF medals. He's fantastic, and so that's the next prize for us. It's like all right, it's time for the liquid to shine.
Sure.
And he's just been the first beer he had. He made like Cali Boy and was just like test batch, and he's like, so you want to try the beer, dude? And I was like, yep. And I was like, okay. Oh, he's like, oh, thank God. And he's like, what? It's like, I know, you just don't know. I mean,
we know.
And every beer after that. And it was like, oh, it just wasn't a 1-shot. Oh, it just wasn't a 2-shot. And now it's like, no, he's good.
Yeah.
It's like everything is solid upon solid.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When I come here, that's pretty much all I drink is Cali Boy.
Okay. I'll have to try that one. I'm adding a mental list here.
We'll just add on to this flight, okay?
Yeah. Don't know how many
we have
more,
a cot in the back.
I was gonna say, I don't know how many more flights I can do in one day, but
this is the light flight. Then we have the heavy flight coming out next.
there we go. Hey. So this is the Jefe hitters.
So this is our Hefeweizen, but it's basically
great.
With tangerine. It is it's modeled after a mimosa. Basically, a mimosa meets El Jefe.
This is tailgate beer.
We actually used to call it beer mosa.
Yeah.
It smells awesome.
It smells really good.
This
is a great
beer. You can
beer.
smell the tangerine, the fruit.
Yeah. This used to be like one of our go-tos before Ryan Traylor came on, and then.
Yeah, I mean when I'm, waking up early to tailgate for a football game, this would be a great.
It's a great breakfast beer.
Yeah.
Good breakfast beer.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, which is what it was designed for. So originally it was designed as a collab with who are there's a breakfast joint like in town like near us, and basically we were working with them, and they were talking about making a Brewmosa with El Jefe, and then Brewmosa was born. But then we wanted to kind of hit what it was in the tap room. It was Brewmosa, Beermosa. But then we decided to take it to the next level, put it in the market, and then it became Houston Jefe Hitters, year-round sports drinking beer. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, everyone we put on the label, though, left Houston this year.
It's like the Madden curse. It's
gotcha.
The Jefe Hitters curse. So
yeah, let's not put Carlos Correa on there.
We put 4 players on the label, and they're all gone now.
They're all gone.
And this was just last year.
This is amazing.
Hey, but it is opening day.
We had J.J. Watt on there, of course.
I'm for the Astros. I'm excited for this season. They've picked up some new players, new pitchers.
We had Springer on the can.
Oh yeah, that's rough. I think my wife was more disappointed that Springer left than I was.
Yeah.
No more Springer dingers.
For completely different reasons. She liked his home runs. I'm just kidding.
The Springer Dingers.
Yeah. So, but I think it's going to be a good season for the Astros. I'm really excited. My oldest son is playing baseball right now, and so he's actually into watching the games and paying attention and all of that. So it's fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah,
this is a good one. It's also because of the acidity, it actually raises the alcohol level up. So it's still under that 6%, but El Jefe, that's a solid 5. This is like 5.8. So that's
really good.
It's funny how liquid works, like what happens because there's a lot of stuff that is in theory, but then once they start matching everything, put everything in the boil, it's like, who knows what the alcohol's going to do, and then it's like it comes out, and then sometimes the brewer's like, holy shit, dude, it went from like 5% to like 7.2. It's like, how the hell did that happen? I don't know, but that's the way it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's basically, a science experiment, right? You
Yeah.
get a trial and error. And
Our
go
head
through the
brewer
process.
is a scientist, pretty much.
Yeah. We have microscopes in order to we have to we lab test stuff to make sure that it's actually safe to drink and all that stuff. And there's so much of it's so weird because you look at brewing because where it started thousands and thousands of years ago, right? But to what it is now, they spend half the time on maintenance and
just cleaning.
Sure.
Cleaning the tanks, making sure everything is pure and clean.
Sure. Yeah, pure and clean, flushing water. They're kind of like mini plumbers in their own right because they're doing a lot of pipe work back there. There's so much extra stuff that has almost nothing to do with brewing, but it's just the nature of the beast. Our head brewer, he's almost here 7 days a week. We need to find. We're trying to find him some more help. He's working his butt off.
But I feel like they're extremely creative in some of the solutions that they come up with. We've worked with some other breweries replacing random parts for pumps or other things, and go out there and it's like, wow, you created your own cooling system out of glycol in a old AC unit or something. It's like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then my buddy Chris Brundrad, he has the William Chris Vineyards, and you're talking about all the testing and all this. You go into their winery or the barrel room where they're aging stuff. It looks like Breaking Bad in there with all the all this stuff. It's like, man, what are y'all actually doing in here?
So there's 2 times during a year that we have a lull, and it's very systematic across the board with all bars. That basically July 4th and then July until about Labor Day, we get a lull where just things just drop down. But then we get a lull, basically Christmas, New Year's until end of February.
Until the New Year's resolutions wear out.
I think I'm
going to be healthy this year.
It's like
January 4th.
Yeah.
Give me that beer.
And I'm done.
There's a weather component to this, right? So because January, February, coldest time of the year, and Texans, we cannot stand open air cold. We can do heat all day long. Hey, wear on shorts, put on a tank top. We can dress less and sweat more, but bundle up wind to cold. Oof. Throwing some rain or moisture. No bueno. So January, February, worst months out of the year, and then But then during the summer, not as bad, but there's still a dip. And some of that's just people probably licking their wounds, getting ready for school, and or recovering from summer vacations, or recovering from Christmas vacations and spending and all that stuff.
Sure.
Get back in. But it's because we're invested in Blood Brothers and Lazy Oaks Beer Garden and Creekwood Grill. We know that these things are very systematic across the board.
Sure.
These dips. It's really interesting to see the numbers. That's the January, February dip. And that's the August, September dip. And
so which beer is this one? This is
the Brew of H
right?
Pale Ale, which features Garrett on a can.
Yeah.
Very sexy.
Yeah.
I'm digging this can glass, by the way.
Yes, you just got to hand wash it. You can't put it in the dishwasher. Just FYI.
Okay.
We were redesigning the Brew of H label. And at first it was very simple, and then it's a typical situation for me. I go about 10, 12 beers in, or maybe a few margaritas, and it's 11, midnight, something like that. And I just start.
That's where the creative comes out.
I really start, and I fired this long message about to our graphic designer. I was like, listen, U of H campus, take out the U of H, put it in a no label. And you take Garrett and you put his ass on a cougar. He's gonna ride around a cougar. He's gonna be drinking a beer, like he's fucking everyone up. He's riding around. It's like Braveheart, but crazy. And he's riding it. It's around campus. Like, put it on a label. We print it, and we'll be millionaires. Yada yada yada. That's my typical. It's like a long try. But then I woke up in the morning, or actually, days went by. And then Shannon, who was our designer, she was like, all right, I got it. And I was like, got what? Because I completely forgot that I sent her this message. And and she's like, I don't know if he looks right. I was like, who? and she's like, what? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, the label. What label? I was like, Brew of H. And I was like, send it to me. And then
it all came back.
And then yes, and I was like, oh, that actually was a good idea.
Oh, thank God.
It's definitely a unique label.
I'm still waiting on
awesome.
the Baylor one. I could ride like a grizzly bear around.
There you go.
No, it's be a dead bear. The bear's dead. No.
So what is the Brew of H? You said it's a pale ale.
It's a pale ale. It's 6%.
It's good.
It's yeah. So Brew of H used to be a red IPA. It was going for that Cougar.
Okay.
U of H, and unfortunately the red IPA wasn't that good. So when we had come in as just investors, so not owners, just investors, we're like, maybe you change it up and have like every year do different things. So they did a pale ale. Then the pale ale was delicious, and I was like, maybe stop changing it up and just keep it as is.
Stick with this.
Yep, this is the winner.
Winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, and yeah, it's solid. I was with we have a friend named John Denman, who I co-host a radio show with on ESPN called Drink of Ages, and we were at Blood Brothers a few weeks back, and it was like one of those Sundays where it's kind of licking our wounds from a long week and just kind of like just long lunch and very chill, and all of a sudden I was like, you want a Brew of H? I was like, yeah, I get a Brew of H. It was on tap, and have one, have two, and the next thing you know, it was like we're 6 in. It's like, feeling really good. It's time to go home. No, they're easy.
Yeah.
Like, they're easy. They have a good taste. It's, they're not too light, so they kind of keep you, like, in terms of their mouthfeel. So you're not going to be, like, slamming them, like, so fast. But, yeah, it's a solid beer through and through.
And it has a lot of flavor, but it doesn't have, like, almost, sometimes, like, this could have, like, a little bit of a bitter aftertaste or, like, kind of hang around in a bad way, but it doesn't do that at all. Yeah,
it definitely makes you feel like you're drinking a sessionable craft beer.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
That was a good flight of lighter beers, delicious, and I mean, maybe we need to go for the flight of heavy beers.
Oh, yes. Randy's face. Randy's like, what? Randy just quit. Thanks, Garrett.
Damn it, not again.
No.
We'll get him back.
But, you talked about kind of No Label and Hart being kind of a big family together, having a space, and being the kind of the companies moving more and more together. And I like the kind of that feel. I mean, we're a family company as well, and can definitely appreciate that and having that space to go to. We were in a very similar situation when we had everybody remote and needed to get everybody kind of back together and could feel the difference once we did. So our warehouse is kind of our go-to. It's not nearly as cool as a brewery, but I can definitely relate to the sentiment.
Our house is your house. Come on, anytime
let's
you
do
it.
Hey, this is great for me because it's pretty close to my house.
Okay.
It might be a little difficult to convince everybody a little further north, but they can just take 99 around.
That's no problem.
Yeah, they'll
take one of the loops.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. So how, Garrett, can you talk a little bit about the history of Hart and how you got involved and kind of how it got to where it is?
Yeah. Hart it's an old business. It's from the 60s. My grandfather was a plumber. He was a master plumber out of Alabama.
Okay.
My father's from Alabama.
Hey, it worked.
So I'm a third-generation master plumber.
Nice.
My father used to do like retail strip centers.
Okay.
He did grocery stores. He did all sorts of stuff. He did neighborhoods. And then he did an apartment complex back in, that was probably late 70s, early 80s. And that was just their niche that they found. Him and his brother worked together, my uncle. And they never did anything else once they did apartments. And there weren't a lot of plumbers that did just apartments back then. And there still aren't a ton.
Right.
So Hart Plumbing was established in the 60s. They ended up, him and his brother ended up splitting back in the 80s. They had some little brotherly quarrel. And so they did plumbing all up and down the East Coast, from Texas all the way to like Maryland.
Okay.
All the way around. And his brother ended up staying in Virginia. My dad came to Texas. He started Hart Plumbing Company of Texas, which was just him. And I grew up around it.
Yeah.
He put me in the field when I was like 14. So every June, July, and August, he would put me on a plumbing grounds. It was always grounds. So it was 135 degrees. I was in a ditch
digging
with a shovel,
yeah.
digging, doing something. I trained on the backhoe, how to dig the ditches. I did all sorts of stuff, everything from top-out water pipe. I did fixtures. I did everything. But I was, like a teenager, and everybody was excited that it was summertime. And I was like, oh, my God, no. But I worked in the field summers all the way high school through college. And then I graduated Baylor. And my dad was like, just come work in the office for a few months. Just come see if you like it. If you don't like it, you can go do something else. So he's like, I'll support you in whatever you want to do. And I was always good with numbers. So I was a finance major, real estate. And I was like, okay, if you pay for my MBA, I will come work for you all day. And then from 6 to 9, I drove from Sugar Land to downtown to U of H, which was an awful drive at 5 o'clock every day. Awful. Yeah. Awful. And so I went to class from 6 to 9 for 2 years. And I never left the office.
Yeah. Hey.
That was 2007 to 2009. In 2011, I started my Hart Plumbing. So and instead of just buying my father's business and having to go through that nightmare, we started Hart Plumbing Southwest. And so that was my business, where I was the president of it. And it'll be 10 years this June.
Oh.
That I've been the head honcho at Hart Plumbing. It's gone by really fast.
Yeah.
The company's made so many. I mean, the company didn't have a logo before.
When I started, it was 07 to 09 was the recession.
Yeah.
So it was the worst of the worst. We had like 4, maybe 6 jobs at the most, and it was awful.
Yeah, it's rough time.
And now we're doing. We stick between 40 to 50 active projects at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. Before, like, his dad would operate like 10, 12 would be like.
I think the max they got up to was like 15 or 18.
That's incredible.
And so to take it where it is now, and like also Hart looks and sounds much different than like we have a vice president now, right? We have all these systems in place. Like our accounting department is a department, like this is very. And you walk around Hart jobs, and they when you took me on. Like just walk into his jobs and it was like, all right. He's like, start branding this. I was like, well, where are your plumbers? He's like, they're out here, they're plumbing. And I was like, it's like, what? How do you know who's who and whatever?
Everybody looks the same. They just got hard hats on and
but
safety jackets.
We had no branding, we had no sign, we had no identity.
Sure.
And that's also what developing kind of that culture and that. Pride, right?
Yeah.
We had a huge employee retention problem. Like people will come and go, and
that's not specific to y'all, though. I mean, that
we did.
In general.
I would say
construction in general has a problem, unfortunately.
But we've kind of nixed that for the most part.
It's gone down significantly.
But if you're able to get under control, I mean, in an industry where it's pretty typical, then I think that speaks a lot about your culture.
There was a customer that kind of modeled a lot of the branding and. Yada yada after it's called Jetco. They're a logistics company, trucking logistics. This guy took it over. Huge, similar to Hart. grew up in the industry, took it over, but then they had a huge retention problem, and this guy brought in all these consultants and all these things. But the Cliff Notes version of it is investing in your employees, investing in company culture, like giving them a sense of pride and identity, that you're not just, because a company without a logo, a company without hanging out, without the swag and all that stuff, like it's not just a hat, right? Like this is a sense like these are who I work for. This isn't just the name on a check. This is the company that provides, and yeah, all that stuff costs money. But Garrett, seeing the bigger picture of all that money that's put into it, yeah, the retention problem's been now it's like virtually non-existent.
That's amazing.
And the company's like 4 times larger than it has been. We're in markets that we haven't been in. In those markets, like if we're in DFW, so if Houston takes a few hits, Dallas ultimately is like rising up.
Sure.
And then the idea is to
give you some diversity.
Is to go into Austin and then have the trifecta where these are the top markets in the country. But if we don't get a job one, we have a job as the other, and just this Hart brand means something. The company does. It's got a rich culture stretching back to like 1955. So it's it's 3 generations strong, and probably a 4th one coming soon.
Maybe, I don't know.
There's
it's impressive because
it's true. Your son kind of eats poop, but one day he won't.
It's crayons. He eats crayons.
poop colored crayons. But yeah, it's the numbers are not in our favor as kind of that second and third generation, right?
No, nobody wants to be a plumber, and I didn't necessarily want to be a plumber either. But I got into it, and I met the people in the industry, and kind of just fell in love with it, and never looked back since.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about 50% of second generation companies make it.
Yeah,
less than 10% of third generation companies make it.
I think you lose your. Yeah, because it's like a circle, right? And the circle breaks. Because if you lose track of where it all started, then all of a sudden it's like where it all come from.
Sure. And I think it's genius that you were able to kind of spin off and start your own version without having to buy your dad out. I would have liked to have heard that advice like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah,
3 years ago.
I did. I had the state
of that. So
called me, and they called my dad, and they're like, this guy's trying to start a new business, and it's kind of almost the same name as yours. And so I had to get permission from him to start Hart Plumbing Southwest, when his company was called Hart Plumbing Company of Texas. And then he also had Hart Plumbing Company of Denver and Arizona and California. He worked in a bunch of different states back in the day.
Yeah.
But Texas wasn't near as busy then as it is now.
Sure. So, yeah, but I can definitely relate to the kind of that drawback to the family business.
Oh, yeah, we talked to attorneys and accountants, and they're like, just start your own business, and new jobs go into your business, and his business just fizzles out when those contracts are completed.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well.
Yeah, that would have been simpler.
Yeah.
But,
I've heard nightmare stories.
But I joke. I mean, my dad and I have a great relationship, and both have a great relationship with Scott, who, we're all 3 business partners now, and it's
yeah, it would have been a harder situation for you probably to start a new business.
Yeah.
When it's just one person transferring to one person.
Sorry, Scott. We'll see you later. But
yeah.
No, it's worked out really well. And, I've been I took about a year kind of after I graduated before I got back into the family business, but been there since 2007. So, it's a very similar feel, and definitely feel that kind of pride to keep it going, and feel that responsibility to keep that brand going, and
my dad's
and the quality and everything.
Point.
So.
He wasn't going to sell Hart Plumbing, and so he came to me and said, "Just try it, just try it, just try it." And he has had people with him for 30, 40 years. Our field manager, Billy Dudgeon, has been with Hart Plumbing. He just had his 50th year.
That's incredible.
He was my dad's apprentice.
Wow.
When my dad was in the field, and so he's like, I can't let these people down. I can't tell them that they're not going to have a job, in a few weeks if I decide I can't run this business anymore. And so I worked in the office, and I went to the field and saw everybody and met everybody, and they were just such good people. Couldn't let them down either.
Right.
I still don't want to let them down. So.
Yeah.
No, we have a Dave now.
So.
Yeah.
No, it's we're very much a family-oriented company. I mean, that's one of our core values. And it was interesting when we went through the exercise of kind of that growing up as a company that y'all were talking about, getting the processes in place and actually having an accounting department and doing those things. That the as part of that for us was actually defining core values and doing things like that. And as a leadership team, we came up with 3, and we were like, hey, these, I feel like these are pretty good. And we modeled them after different employees and things like that. And then we opened it up to the employees, and they were like, hey, you missed one, right? And so it was our service manager that came up with that, and so that was pretty cool. So definitely get the family feel. So
yep.
So what construction, luckily in Texas, was got the exemption right during COVID.
Oh, thank God! I don't know what I would have done. If that didn't happen.
That would have been
a true nightmare.
Yes. So, but it did kind of create and present all these other challenges. I mean, so do you feel like? I mean, obviously, y'all been able to adapt and do different things through COVID, but now that we're kind of hopefully on the backside here, moving out of it, do you feel like any of the things that have happened during COVID are going to stick? Like, do you see any changes on the job site, or maybe things that y'all are doing differently?
They had all their job site meetings were outdoors. Everybody tried to social distance and do everything. Some job sites had people at the gate that wouldn't let you in unless they took your temperature and all that. I'm sure some of this stuff is going to stick around. I don't know exactly what, but I wish I could say some good things will come of it, but I don't know what those things are.
Yeah. I hear you.
Everybody's more cautious now.
This has been a blast. I appreciate you guys having us out here to No Label, opening up the tap room here and letting us kind of try some beer and sharing stories about how the brewery started and the company. And I think it's really cool how the brewery and Hart Plumbing have kind of come together, and you have this big family feel between the two, and that's awesome. Also want to thank all of you for joining us today on this episode of Building Value, and look to see you on the next one.